Well, it would appear that we have two Tuesdays in the 1 week. I actually meant to say in yesterday's video, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook, but I happened to say the Tuesday. It was actually once I'd finished the video, I thought, did I say Tuesday? Happened to have said Tuesday, so I do apologise for that. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. We're skipping Wednesday and moving on to Thursday, but you wouldn't have me any other way, I'm sure. But this is plenty more rain added on top of what we've already had in recent weeks and months. Honister Pass coming in top place at 122 millimeters of rain falling in the period between 9 o'clock on the 21st through 9 o'clock on the 23rd. So a very, very soggy past 48 hours, especially in northwestern England, where we had Keswick at 93 and Carlisle at 88 millimeters. Up in North Yorkshire, we had 78 millimeters, and down into parts of Wales, we had 71 millimeters in Capel and Billing Hill in Greater Manchester recording 63 millimeters of rain. So, in context, this is a tweet by the Met Office saying that the May average for Carlisle is just 55 millimeters rain, so more than a May's worth of rain falling inside the space of a couple of days. So, like I said, we are continuing to see these moist ground as we move out of spring and into the summer. What influence may that have later down the road will remain to be seen. It may have very little in the way of influence, but it may have a tempering influence on temperature as we go into the June through August period. Very, very wet grounds can lead to slightly reduced maximum temperatures, and I'm kind of a little bit in between the idea of whether it can influence atmospheric pressure as well. Wet grounds in some parts of the world can lead to lower pressure. Drier ground can actually enhance higher pressure. The jury is very much out in terms of whether we can have influence on the atmosphere with depending on the soil moisture content in our part of the world. But certainly we have got the continuation of this area of low pressure. Very windy conditions, may I add, here in the north of the UK during the course of today. Very gusty winds. I was lying in my bed, generally going to my bed about 5 in the morning, get up early afternoon, and you could hear the winds blowing the majority of the time. You kind of tend to find, I don't know if anybody's done night shift before, but you tend to find that it's a kind of off and on type sleep as opposed to a solid 6 or 7 hours that you would normally get more so in nighttime. But anyway, I'm waffling on as per usual. So I want to show you in today's video. Let me see. This is the latest run of the MJO, by the way, and you can see that it's rotating out of the null phase. So we've got a relatively pronounced pulse going through phases 4 and 5, which is the eastern Indian Ocean into the maritime continent at the moment here. So enhanced convection going off in this part of the world at the moment here. What influence that may have later down the road remains to be seen, but certainly based on the latest run of the GFS ensemble, this is a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. And so this is the 5,000 foot level anomaly, warmer versus colder than average. And it's really no great shakes. I'm bringing this up because we obviously are entering the final days of spring and about to enter meteorological summer. Do we have any major or appreciable heat to speak about as we move towards the summer? And the short answer is no. It doesn't look as if we've got anything particularly significant in terms of warmth. Now, these 850 anomalies are slightly warmer than average, but nothing really to write home about. And then we actually go into a cooler than average 850 profile here as we move into the first few days of June. It actually shows colder than average 850s and then slightly warmer than average. If we look at the actual 850s seen by the model here, it gives you a better idea in terms of the type of air mass that we could be expecting as we go through the final days of the month and into early June. You can really see here that any real warmth is down across the Mediterranean and across Iberia. as we step out of May and into the month of June. You can see here that there is nothing really to speak about with regards to any kind of blast of early summer warmth, so to speak. Even if we look at the ECMWF, you can see the same rough idea here. We've got the relatively cool air to the west of the area of low pressure, as can be seen here. And then as we play into the first few days of June, we've actually got relatively cooler seen by the ECMWF crossing the UK. Now, there's actually low pressure, it looks as if it's going to try and kind of dominate the first few days of June here. We've got this area of low pressure to start off meteorological summer. Any kind of warmth is over the south and east of the continent here. So very much high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west, seen by the ECMWF to start meteorological summer. Now, if we look at the GFS ensembles here for the upcoming 5 days, you can see the block to the north, relatively low pressure to the south. That has been the mainstay of the month of May so far. Now, as we play through this loop here, we exit May, begin June. You notice we've actually got a trough here, below average heights present near or over the UK during the first few days of June, and then we see higher pressure trying to exert its influence, but it actually doesn't. This is the period between the 3rd and the 8th of June. We've actually got relatively low pressure. It's neutral, but it's actually lower pressure across the UK and Ireland here for this same time frame. Looking at precipitation here, and you can see the upcoming 7-day period looks like this here. Weather across Scotland, if you notice here, Northern England, Northern UK, slightly drier across the far south here, still wet across the heart of Europe, if you notice. Then as we move into the 6th through 12th period, still wetter than average across the north here. So this is encompassing the period between the 20th of May and the 4th of June. And the 10 to 16 day looks slightly drier than average here, seen by the GFS ensemble. Looking at the temperature anomalies here for the upcoming 5-day period looks like this here. So we'll go back to the upcoming 5, and you can actually see slightly below average across parts of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales and southwestern England, warmer than average elsewhere across the UK. The 6 to 10, you can see here that it's slightly warmer than average, but again, nothing really standoutish. We've got some warmth to speak about across the heart of Europe. Northern Europe, most of mainland Europe is actually warmer than average, and yes, the UK is relatively warmer compared to average, but again, nothing really to write home about. And finally, the 11 to 15 day, we actually have close to average, marginally above average for the period between the 2nd of June and the 7th of June here. So yeah, nothing really to write home about in terms of the weather pattern stepping out of May and into the month of June and meteorological summer. Finally, let's have a look at the NMME model here. This is the North American multi-model run. This is the period between May through July, and you can see quite a wet anomaly across France, which is quite interesting here, and even extend into southwestern portions of the UK. Let's go month by month, because this is quite interesting, I think, in terms of precipitation. So for the month of June, it's actually showing wetter than average across the vast majority of the UK and Ireland here. So that is quite interesting. As we move into the month of July, we've got close to average conditions, and then the month of August, slightly wetter than average conditions as well. So it's not indicating a particularly dry looking summer based on this model overall. Let's have a look and quickly see the CFSV2 monthlies here. So this is the month of June, and we have a bit of a contradiction between the NMME and the CFSV2, because it's actually indicating slightly drier than average conditions across the majority of the UK, with the exceptions of Southern Ireland, southwestern England and Wales here. As we move into the month of July, it's showing wetter north, drier south. France, a bit of a split, drier northwest, central and southern and eastern areas, wetter than average. And then the month of August, again, showing wetter conditions to the north, drier conditions to the south. That, to me, would constitute lower pressure to the north, higher pressure to the south, based on that overall precipitation anomaly here. Let's have a look at the 500 millibar heights here, and you don't really get a great deal of indication here because we've got the block centered over North Central Europe here. If you notice, we've got a little bit of a neutral here, both to the west of the UK and Ireland, and also over Iberia. That would indicate to me that the model is sniffing out some sort of low, a weak low pressure system, possibly over southwestern Europe and out to the south of Iceland as well. This is the month of July, and again, the month of August is not really indicating a great deal here. The only thing that you could take from that is that the darker reds represent where the model is seeing the core of that high compared to average. But it really is take your pick, and you can take what you like out of these long range model runs. It's a little bit hard to really decipher what it's actually trying to indicate here. Accuracy wise as well, it's not particularly great to go on. So anyway, I think I've spoken long enough. With regards to the next few days here, looking at the overview chart here. So obviously we've got that area of low pressure that is going to slowly fill over the next few days here. There's plenty of shower activity around, so we are going to continue to see those heavy showers over the next 24, 36 hours or so. But as that area of low pressure fills, we then lose the shower activity, begin the weekend on a fairly dry note. This is obviously the upcoming bank holiday weekend. Keeping an eye on this feature here, moving out of northern Germany through the Netherlands. It's going to try and spread some rain towards the north coast of England here. We've also got an area of low pressure out to the west of the UK and Ireland as well. So keeping an eye on both these features. One front moving in from the west, another system moving in from the east-southeast. And eventually what that's going to do is going to destabilize the atmosphere, bring a layer of cool air once again over the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. Strong daytime heating at the surface will allow the air to rise, cool, condense, and produce plenty of convective showers and possibly localized thunderstorms. Then as we move out of the day on Saturday into Sunday, we've got some weather to speak about moving through Ireland, Northern Ireland, into Wales, in the western portions of the UK as well, as we step out of Saturday and begin the day on Sunday. And then it looks as if we've got a rash of shower activity during the course of Sunday afternoon. Quite a widespread area of shower activity. We've also got plenty of showers over mainland Europe. I've already discussed Europe in a bit of detail in recent days. Then as we move into the day on Monday, it looks as if we maintain this showery regime, a weak area of low pressure that is just enough to keep the atmosphere quite unstable over the UK and Ireland through the course of Bank Holiday Monday. So really Sunday and Monday looks very much sunshine and showers. Then as we continue to press into the course of next week, final days of the month, looks as if low pressure is going to try and drive our pattern. Area of low pressure centered to the west northwest of the UK and Ireland. Associated frontal systems will move in, bringing plenty of unsettled and relatively cool conditions for the beginning of summer here. And it looks as if even as we move towards the middle portion of the next week, low pressure, not high pressure, is going to be the dominant force. Stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe. Remember, we've got the weather, the summer of 2024 forecast coming up this Sunday, and I should have the Global Weather Report edition 93 on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Bye for now.